Dave & Buster's is your destination for fun. Eat delicious chef-crafted food. Try sizzling favorites and new creations from our talented chefs. Drink the coolest cocktail creations. Play the hottest new games to win awesome prizes. And watch all the games in the best sports bar ever. Only at Dave & Buster's.
Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all or he is not Lord at all. And you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, hashtag life change will occur.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network. Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Looking for some exhilarating fun? It's at All Out Zone. All Out Zone showcases Nerf Dart tag games from team elimination battles to human versus zombies, pitting 2 teams against each other in fun, organized chaos with trained referees, music, and a full arsenal of Nerf blasters. You need team parties, birthday parties. We can customize the party to fit your needs. Visit us at the Coronado Mall. Give us a call, 505-444-6964. All Out Zone.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, Albuquerque, New Mexico.
What's up?
And the rest of the world. Leroy Lucero along with Michael Carlisle. This is RedMenace TV on Proview Networks. Mike, how you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing kind of good.
I'm as good as somebody could be who just came back from Laramie to watch Lobo football this past week.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I mean, this comes off the heels of the Fresno game too. So we had like back-to-back. Well, no, yeah, there was.
Well, no, the Colorado State here was.
Oh, the Colorado State, which was actually a good game. That was a great game, and I thought there was a couple of years ago when I was accused of calling for Bob Davies' job because they weren't playing well, and I remember at the time saying, "Hey, if you don't want to be here, or if you're going to go through the motions, then it's okay to retire. It's okay to bail out." I never called for him to be fired necessarily, though people have said that. I kind of have that same feeling now. It's like we're going through the motions. I didn't feel that after the Colorado State game because I thought they bounced back and played really well. But man, that Wyoming game was.
I don't know that it's going through the motions.
Okay.
I think the offensive line injuries really cripple the offense. And honestly, if the Lobos can't run the ball, they're in a lot of trouble because they're just not a passing team. So you get the Fresno State shutout. You get what you got Saturday in Laramie against Wyoming. By the way, I see you wearing your Wyoming Brown
today.
Wyoming
Brown today.
I don't think anybody's quit per se. I do think this is going to be an interesting offseason for Lobo football, though.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was a heartbreaker, and we'll go deeper into it. We want to have Micah Frankel on from CageMinds.com, of course.
Right.
And he's going to talk a lot of combat sports and what's going on in that realm. And a great job for him last week for filling in in and doing the show. I
Sure.
really appreciate that. I had some stuff that I had to take care of. But one of the things, I don't know, there's just one of the things I just want to leave with before, well, two things. First of all, Lobo basketball had their exhibition versus BYU,
Right.
which, while it was not well attended, was an excellent event. I know you were in Wyoming and couldn't make it, but I happened to make it, and it was great being in the pit. And I definitely want to talk about just the frenetic energy of this team and how I could see Lobo fans, especially older Lobo fans that remember the Norm Ellenberger years, remember the Bob, how they're going to fall in love with this team, because I don't even know, the electricity of watching them play defense is just amazing. So that's one thing. But we'll talk about that as well. But on the football side of things, just one thing, and I just got to throw it out there. Every year we've heard, we got to switch to this quarterback. Because we got to throw more, because it didn't work out so well. And I said this online and on Twitter and stuff. The problem isn't necessarily the quarterback. It's the system that we don't run good routes as wide receivers. And I think in both games you saw where there was times where the wide receivers were running together. I think in the Fresno game or the Colorado, they knocked each other off the ball because the ball was thrown up. The quarterbacks are set for one read almost, and it almost seems like everything's a streak fly pattern. We don't see a lot of short, intermediate, or crossing patterns, or maybe that's just the quarterback's not making that read.
Simple answer.
Yes, tell me.
This team is not built to throw the football.
Exactly. So let's stop with let's change this quarterback, and I see that they're going back with Jordan as a starter, which is the way
Maybe they are, maybe they aren't.
I think they are, because I think that gives them their best chance to win.
I don't disagree with you. I'm just not 100% sure, and I know Davey said at his press conference this week that's the way they were leaning. We'll see if that's what they actually do. But I'm with you, because if you start with Tuioti and things aren't working well, and you put Lamar in, you're putting Lamar in to run the ball. If you're down 14, 21 points, you don't want to run the ball. The best chance you have to win is with Lamar starting, trying to get the run game going, and then if that's not working and you fall behind, then you make the quarterback switch. You're actually doing more harm if you do that the other way.
Exactly. And one last thing about...
And that's not, to be clear, that's not a knock on Tuioti. That's just the way this team is set up right now.
The way it's built.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And hey, we said absolutely at the same time.
Jinx.
Yeah. Do we do pinky pie? It gets weird. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with Micah Frankel and CageMinds.com here on RedMenace TV.
We do it right, people will revive.
Hoops NM Basketball Center is coming soon. 10 full courts broken into 2 wings for ultimate basketball and volleyball play. Locker rooms, a lounge area, a pro shop, and a full snack bar will all be a part of a great experience. Convenient parking and access will make the Hoops NM Basketball Center a premier facility for league play and competitive regional tournaments. With over 9,000 square feet, Hoops NM Basketball Center will take court sports play to another level in our community. Courts are regulation high school size with wood floors and seating for approximately 350 per court. Major sponsors and supporters are being assembled now. If you're interested, contact Dan Serrano at 505-249-7994. Send him an email, hoopsnm@aol.com. That's hoopsnm@aol.com. Hoops NM Basketball Center, a premier sports facility serving our community.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Duke City Sports Bar. Proud supporter of Proview Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. Catch all the sports action from high school, college, pros, and MMA on one of our 35 HD TVs. Start your night off right with any selection from our delicious menu prepared with fresh, never frozen ingredients. Duke City Sports Bar, Albuquerque's newest sports bar. Located on Eubank and Montgomery, dial 505-433-4020.
Welcome to the place where we talk about people getting punched in the face. This is Caged Minds. I'm Micah Frankel. Let's get started with talking about it a little bit from this past weekend. We got results from UFC Fight Night 119 up at cagedminds.com. You had Americans spoiling the Brazilian party that was there in Sao Paulo as Colby Covington took unanimous decision from Damian Maia and after made some inflammatory comments in trying to talk Tyron Woodley into a title fight. Oh, the controversy between pushing that line of hyping a fight and looking like a moron on national TV. Check out the Caged Minds Uncensored podcast up at the website for more details and more of my opinion on that topic. Can also tell you guys that there in Brazil, Derek Brunson slayed the dragon, knocking out Lyoto Machida. That was epic. Now coming up this week, what's the fight action look like for you? Thursday night free if you download the Fight app, FITE. You have the Professional Fighters League in Washington, D.C. with the charity event, a 4-fight MMA card, including former heavyweight champion Blasio Ivanov, former featherweight champion Lutz Palmer, and former bantamweight champion Timur Valiev. That's on Thursday. Friday, LFA on Access TV has a world heavyweight title fight. Saturday, Bellator MMA 180, or also Friday night, Bellator MMA 186 is on Spike TV from Penn State with Phil Davis, Ed Ruth, the crowning the first ever Bellator Women's Flyweight Champion, Ilima McFarland, rematching Emily Ducote, and you also have Ryan Bader defending the light heavyweight title against Linton Vassell. Saturday, now this is where your MMA or boxing choice comes in. You can tune into Showtime. Deontay Wilder, our American heavyweight champion, the WBC title holder, taking on the only man to ever make it to a decision with him. And then you also have from Madison Square Garden, oh wait, sorry, I forgot to mention that Deontay Wilder is fighting in Barclays, a big night in New York. Then you move over to Madison Square Garden, where you have UFC 217, 3 world title fights, including the return of GSP versus Michael Bisping. And I also got to let you guys know to keep your eyes out for our Proview Network's Caged Minds Battle for the Brave preview special presented by Pettis Collision. That's going to be coming up this week, and we're going to have that event live stream for you here on Proview Networks. November 11th, Battle for the Brave. A lot of local boxing news. Local boxing leads me into my guest this week. We have Ronnie Baca joining me. Thanks for being here, Ronnie. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing good. So last time we had Legacy Boxing here on Proview Networks, you were on the card, took on Marcos Arturo Servin, and there's quite a story behind this fight if you guys have not been told. Marcos, we were presented with, we thought both of you guys headed in this fight as 1-0 professionals, right?
That is correct, yep.
And then by the end of the fight, we're getting words of 3-1, maybe 7-1, a lot of rumors going on. It appears that Marco Arturo Servin and his camp were not completely honest and forthright with his background. So how'd you feel your last fight went?
That was definitely a very competitive fight I've ever had, probably, including my amateurs. And you know, regardless, I expect any fighter I come up with to bring it to the table. And so it shocked me. It definitely shocked me just by what we know of this guy and what he actually, brung. It definitely was a 180 for me. But, as we all have to just learn to adjust and learn to adapt. And that's what I had to do that night.
Obviously, sitting ringside, I could notice easily that Servin had way more experience, way more in-ring knowledge and composure than would be expected of somebody with the experience they said. What did it look like from the competitive in-ring aspect? How did you feel? Was it like, wow, this guy is definitely not on that level, this is a step up?
Absolutely. It was definitely shocking to me. And man, the first punch he landed on me, that's what made me just think to myself, there's no way this guy is 1-0 or pro debuter, like they said. And throughout the fight, I just had to learn to survive, but also I had to be more competitive. I had to kind of change my game up.
How do you feel it bettered you then in hindsight, taking on a task like that, a challenge?
It's great for me to say it's good for us boxers to have that opponent to honestly test us, and that right there is what separates people if they want to keep continuing with this or if they don't. So at least I felt more hungry. Funny how that is. I felt more hungry after that fight.
Now, hungry, and I'm sure you want to get right back to action, but the hardest part of the fight game is finding a willing partner or promotion. Heard there's been some news with that kind of changing, expanding on fighting outside of New Mexico right now. Heard your next endeavor is going to be heading you to Florida November 18th to take on MMA fighter Varen Webb, who actually comes in with a 9-3 MMA record, but making his first professional boxing bout.
Yeah, so that's at least a blessing that I got signed with this Crown, Softball Crown Promotions out in Fort Walton Beach. That's also where the fight's going to be. And yeah, just at this moment, just staying prepared. And, like I said, even though this guy, great MMA record, winning record, I don't expect nothing less from this guy. And so I make sure to stay absolute on my abilities and my cardio and et cetera.
He's an MMA fighter. Do you almost kind of then expect more of a brawling kind of fighter to come at you?
Absolutely. I expect him to push it. I do. I expect him to be more forward.
Now, also through your boxing career, currently I know you've been under the tutelage of Sergio Chavez. Just last weekend, he got inducted into the New Mexico Boxing Hall of Fame. What has that relationship and learning under him been like?
It's honestly been a blessing. This man has been in the ring, so he knows exactly what he's talking about compared to a lot of trainers. And I know there's a lot of trainers out there who are very good with boxing, but for me, I feel more comfortable with somebody who's actually been in it than that's just seen it. It's two different things if you ask me. So I first off do want to congratulate my trainer, Sergio, for his Hall of Fame. That's a great accomplishment. And that's very, very humbling for me as well.
Now, we don't have Sergio here with us, but if you could give us a little insight, did he share with you what it meant for him to get that kind of recognition here locally?
Just simply that he felt very, very humbled. It was, he said it's the most humbling experience he's had, and he, just wishes to continue with people like me, for fighters like me, whoever comes later down the road, let's say. He's simple. He just wants somebody to just basically have that goal and, don't stop until you accomplish it.
Coming off of the fight at Expo Explosion, obviously, again, taking on a much more experienced foe than what was expected. Where did Sergio and you game plan that moving forward? Where did you need to grow? Where did you need to evolve?
He, man, after the first round, right then and there, he had me snap in my mind, like, you're losing, you need to do something about this now. And the second round was rough, but then I felt a little bit getting the feel of this guy. But then once after the second round came, he just blatantly told me, you know what, you're losing, you need to do something about this now. You need to actually throw more punches, you need to be more aggressive. And you know what, something in my mind just said, you know what, I'm just gonna go all out. I'm not losing, I forbid to lose, or I forbid this guy to win, or I'm gonna try to kill him. And that's just that mentality.
And now what's the mentality, what's the thoughts heading into this fight in Florida? The new circumstances, the new promotion, kind of the pressure. I know you want to make that big statement and also show the promoter, who I heard also used to be a trainer of yours from your amateurs day. I know you want to show him correctly in showing this faith in you. Absolutely.
So I want to bring to this next fight here an example of my ability, example of my talent, an example of my ambition. I want to show exactly, I want to impress people. You know, I want to be an eye catcher.
Now, how much has that been a focus in your training? How do you make that a focus of your training, getting these big wins in an impressive fashion to make a name, but without exposing yourself and leaving yourself open to a counter?
That is something Serge has been training me with lately is, of course, cardio is the biggest thing. If you can't do anything if you don't have cardio, and I mean, that's us fighters, we all know that. You know, no matter how talented you are, you're going to have that gas in the tank. But he's been just using my strengths, such as my range, my jab. He's been telling me, you have a quick jab, you're lengthy, let's make that effective. So right now, we've just been working on just my ability to keep that range. You can do anything that you set your mind to. The mind is a powerful thing. We've seen a lot in combat sports, even the sports world with like LeVar Ball. You put the things out there vocally into the world and you can make them happen. So tell me about how you stay positive and how you have your level of confidence. I always have faith in what I'm doing. I think it has to be natural for every fighter to have that self-confidence. Otherwise, this business is not for you. You know, so, but I keep myself, I keep myself around friends, family, I keep myself around loved ones who strengthen me, who believe in me, and that helps out very, very much, actually, you know, because after a while, you just have to believe not only by them, but in yourself as well. But it helps when they make you, when they keep telling you, reminding you that you're doing something incredible. Involved in combat sports, it's always a bumpy road. There is no smooth road. How has what happened reassured to you that this is the right path, that this is what you want to be doing? I've been, honestly, when I first started ever to box, when I first laced up the gloves, when I first stepped in the ring, I was a kid that didn't know much about boxing. I mean, of course, I grew up to it. My father was always, enthused into the boxing game, so I grew up most of my childhood watching big-time fights. But my first few spars were actually with, tough amateur kids that had 50-plus amateurs that I've gotten beat up. And that definitely, of course, it's amazing how sparring questions you, whether if this sport is for you or if it's not for you. And, I've had that times where I thought to myself, this may not be for me. I don't know if I'm going to cut this off, but it's amazing how just a mind, like you said, a mind's a powerful thing. And once you just switch like a light, it stays on. And at that point, that's when I was like, you know what, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to go as far as I can in this sport to see what I can do and how far I can go. And that right there strengthened me to be where I'm at now and, in the future, hopefully somewhere further. I know that staying active is going to be something important. Has that been something with finding a new promoter, new promotion you've been able to work around? Because that's part of building that resume is you have to be able to stay active. Absolutely, and that's why I really want to set out, a big thank you to my old trainer, Dwayne Vandross, who is the owner of the Asafo Crown Promotions, because locally here, I've been active, however, not in the ring, of course, where it counts, but I've sweat so much, bled so much in the training, but never had anybody actually push to give me a fight here. So I really feel good about next year. This is the end of this year, but next year we'll be busy.
So again, guys, Thursday night, the Professional Fighters League Fight Night charity event on the Fight app, FITE. Download it, watch it for free. Then Friday night, you have LFA or Bellator title fights everywhere. Saturday, UFC 217 and Deontay Wilder, the WBC heavyweight champion, on Showtime. You can get your combat sports fix all over the place this weekend. Don't forget, November 11th, Manuel Lujan Building on the Expo New Mexico grounds. Legacy Boxing, Battle for the Brave, right here on Proview Networks. And again, Ronnie, thanks for joining us this week, and keep up with CageMinds.com. We'll have the results for what happens out in Florida after Ronnie's fight, and more RedMenace TV in just a moment.
Carmody Medical provides solutions for your everyday needs. Hot and cold compression wraps provide therapeutic compression for the shoulder, hip, and knee. The therapy wraps are constructed of an insulated outer fabric and a ventilated cotton pocket to protect the body. Elastic belts allow mobility and deliver a gentle, adjustable compression. The reusable therapy packs can be removed from the pouch and placed into the freezer. Contact Jim for more information.
VR Junkies is a virtual reality arcade. We specialize in all things VR, from the simple phone-based headsets to cutting-edge full-body motion systems. Check us out at the Coronado Mall. VR Junkies.
When I train for American Ninja Warrior, I schedule regular workouts to stay in shape. To keep my car in Ninja Tough shape, I head to a Napa Auto Care Center for regular maintenance and genuine Napa Auto parts. Like brakes and batteries. I trust my Napa Auto Care Center for quality parts and quality service. And with the 24-month, 24,000-mile nationwide warranty, I drive away with peace of mind every time. Visit AutoCareNM.com to find a location near you.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened? Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at Proview Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Hey everyone, Adam Deal here with Proview Networks. Extreme Clean is a proud sponsor and supporter of Proview Networks and all high school sports athletics. Owner Mike McLean and Extreme Clean specialize in carpet cleaning for apartment, realty, business, and residential clients. With over 20 years experience, attention to detail and quality customer service matters. For more information, give them a call, 505-221-6440, Extreme Clean.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili, breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Dave & Buster's is your destination for fun. Eat delicious chef-crafted food. Try sizzling favorites and new creations from our talented chefs. Drink the coolest cocktail creations. Play the hottest new games to win awesome prizes. And watch all the games in the best sports bar ever. Only at Dave & Buster's.
Welcome back to RedMenace TV here on Proview Networks. Leroy Lucero, Michael Carlisle. That was weird. We just kind of did the intro and then bam, right into Micah. Yeah. So we're back. So let's go back to the conversation we were talking about, Lobo football. And Lobo football has been... So we talked about this, and this is reminiscent of Rocky's last year.
It is.
If you remember, Rocky, it's so
in so many ways. Coming off a bowl win, high expectations.
And remember, the year before, they had lost a bowl game.
Right. Lost a bowl game, won a bowl game, high expectations.
Right. Yeah. And then lots of injuries.
Yeah.
You know, nobody remembers that. Now, it's different. So here, I mean, and I know it's, you know, you can't compare basketball to football. But obviously, with more players, in basketball, if you lose your star player, then obviously that's going to hurt your team. But in football, if you start losing a lot of these, I don't want to say fringe because they're not fringe, but like starters, especially like on the offensive line, or defensive backs or whatever, you don't really pay attention to that as much because there's so many players and so many numbers in the game of football. But we both know once you start losing those players, not necessarily your running backs, your quarterbacks, it really affects the rest of the team.
Oh yeah, no, it definitely does. You know, look, it's no secret the run game is the Lobos' bread and butter. And when you start having offensive linemen drop, and the Lobos have had several that have dropped, that affects your ability to run the ball. We've seen it multiple games this year. And if they can't run the ball, they're put into a situation where they have to pass. It's one thing when you bring in the passing quarterback in the second half and the other team's got a 30-point lead and they kind of take their foot off the gas a little bit. It's another thing to try to start the game coming out being a passing team, which is something, A, you're not equipped for. And oh, by the way, if the injuries to the offensive line has hurt your run game, it's also hurting your pass blocking too.
Yeah.
So that, you know, the Lobo offense is really facing quite the uphill battle right now. And unfortunately, I don't think it gets any better this year because there's no magic wand to wave and all of a sudden the line's healthy. Tuioti's a little more accurate, Lamar's a little more, whatever, you kind of have to work through it. And with all the injuries, I don't know that they can work through it.
Yeah, and there's another thing there that Jarrell Presley and then Terrion Gibson, they're home run hitters. I mean, even last year.
You don't have quite that. I think people thought Owens was going to be that guy.
Right.
He got off to a slow start
last year, if you remember.
He got off to a slow start this year, had a bit of a foot injury. He's healthy now, but he had a big game against Colorado State, but hasn't really been able to get it going. McCorley is supposed to be your big stud back. All of a sudden, he can't hold on to the football. So, yes, the injuries are certainly a part of it. It's not the only thing. You go back to the Wyoming game, 7 turnovers in the game, 6 in the first half.
Yeah.
If you go back and break down that game, Wyoming did all that damage in the second quarter. They scored 35 points in the second quarter.
Right?
And a large part of that was the turnovers. I had somebody on the Sports Animal this week say, "Oh my God, how can Bob Davies say the defense played well? That they gave up 42 points." Well, I think his point was, it wasn't the defense's fault they gave up those points. When you have those turnovers and you're giving Wyoming the ball on the 15-yard line or the 25-yard line, they're going to score. They're a good enough team to score. The defense really never had a chance. And if you look earlier in the game when, before all the turnovers started happening, it was a much more competitive game. Wyoming scored 7 points. So that was the point he was making on that. So yes, the injuries are certainly a huge part of it, and it has stymied the offense, which really makes it difficult for the Lobos to do much of anything. But then you compound that with turnovers, whether it's interceptions, whether it's fumbles. And who would have thought? We brought up McCorley a minute ago, and that's been the big focus, his fumbles. He's fumbled 4 times this year, and they've lost all 4. 7 turnovers on Saturday, and he wasn't one of the ones that turned over. You had the 5 picks and 2 muff punts.
Also, I wanted to bring up, and we didn't talk about it, the defensive backs, the injuries there, and then Gergel goes out with the targeting call. And right after that, I think.
By the way, and to the best of my recollection, Davey did not bring that up in his press conference this week.
Right.
Horrible call. It should have been a penalty.
Sure.
Because he did hit him in the head. Even if Gergel had wanted to, he could not have targeted that player on that play because of the way he was being tackled. He was being brought down. He was being brought over.
Right.
The guy who, and if Gergel just stands there, if somehow the guy doesn't go down because he's on top of the opponent, he gets up and runs. Gergel just went in to tackle. The other Lobo defender was kind of pulling him over. It was really just kind of a circumstance situation. I don't think for a second that he intentionally tried to target that player.
And the thing is, once Gergel went out, they brought in the other I can't pronounce Rothschiller, because they're lacking in depth because they already have injuries at that position.
Sure.
And where's the first place that quarterback started picking on? All of a sudden the safeties were, they were toast. I mean, there's no other way to put it. But I mean, there was receivers, and you could tell not only were they toast as plays, but how many open wide receivers or tight ends were there. And when I say open, I mean literally there was nobody covering them, wide open. And I obviously that had a lot to do with it as well when Wyoming did their damage, I think, as they were able to readjust. And like you said, Wyoming kind of took their foot off the pedal as well. The defense kind of got back into it. But all these things, it's just so weird how it's so reminiscent. And I said it online, and I mean, we're going to have a damn fans moment, We
may.
I mean, I'm just going to throw it out there. I mean, here we are once again. The expectations, so it's hard to say this because it's not like we sold that UNM sold a ton of tickets to start the season, even with the high expectations. It's not like there was a lot of tickets sold. We moved up a little bit from last year, which there wasn't a lot sold.
There was a negligible increase.
It's really hard to say. I mean, there was expectations. You know that. You fielded the phone calls. I've seen it on. I had expectations of this team. I'm still going to go to the games because I enjoy the game of football. But it's still odd to see that there was so many expectations, but how many people have I don't even want to say jumped off the bandwagon because I don't even think they were ever really on.
For the most part, people never got back on the bandwagon. You're right, there's a little bit of an increase in season ticket sales this year, but even the back-to-back bowl years, last year when they won a bowl game, attendance continued to drop. And you can talk about, put a winning product on the field, fans will show up. Bob Davey and the Lobos did that. Now, they're struggling this year, but certainly it's a little disheartening, I'm guessing, if you're a Lobo football player, you're back at home, big game, and you come out of the tunnel and there's nobody in the stands.
So I've seen this, obviously living here my whole life, I've seen it constantly. Win or lose, the fans they don't show up. I mean, I think it was a little better, maybe 10, 15 years ago.
But you were getting 35,000 at one point when Rocky was here.
You were, but I mean, the competition, and I was going to bring the competition for the entertainment wasn't as big as it is now. And when I say that, I'm talking mostly your cell phones and the internet, I think would be the big competition. It's not like there's big concerts going on in Albuquerque or other huge sporting events to compete against. I just don't know what UNM can do at this point to bring large fans back, and you can't. So it's not. And this is where I was going with this. You mentioned back-to-back winning years, and I heard, obviously Albuquerque's the land of excuses. So people are like, well, you got to put a more consistent winning. I don't know if it's possible for any team that's not P5 status to put a winning team on the field every single year.
It's funny you brought that up. I was having a conversation with someone over the weekend talking about the Mountain West Conference, how hard it is for teams to sustain winning. And if you look at the conference, it's been two teams, and really 1.5 teams. It's been Boise, and heck, they were down last year.
Yep.
And the last 4 years, it's been San Diego State. Every other team, whether it's Fresno, Colorado State,
Peaks and Valleys,
Reno, you name the team, Peaks and Valleys. You'll be good 1 year. You're
well, I mean, okay, you brought up San Diego State. It was just 3 weeks ago. I think we sat here and talked. San Diego State should run the table and be in a big New Year's Eve game, right?
Then they won this past weekend, but they promptly went out. Right. They promptly went out and lost 2 straight games.
Right, and I mean, and they got beat by Boise, but then they got worked by Fresno again. And I mean, obviously, the way the structure is set up, one loss pretty much takes you out of any kind of big bowl game contention.
Oh, yeah.
Two losses,
sure.
forget it. It's over. I mean, you can just give it up. There's no chance.
Well, yeah, they're not going to win that division.
Right.
So unless something really screwy happens, so yeah, that shot they had, one loss and it goes out the window, and for them they've had two. But I mean, still, that doesn't mean they're not successful. That doesn't mean that they can't still be successful this year. But the bigger picture, those two losses to Fresno and Boise, went straight out the window.
So I mean, this idea, and you brought it up about the peaks and valleys. How much consistency are Lobo fans wanting? And how do they figure that's going to happen? I mean, in reality, in football.
Well, and it's tough. We brought up Boise State as one of those teams that have been consistent.
Right.
Do you know what they're having problem with?
Getting fans
in the stands. So, it's not even a situation anymore of, well, winning cures all. If you win, they show up.
Yeah, that's changed. And in fact, I wanted to, it's not a fair comparison, so I'm not going to bring it up in that way. But so where do we go for Lobo football now? I mean, you mentioned that, obviously these injuries on the O-line, they're not coming back. They're done for the year.
Right.
Defensive back-wise, I mean, Gergel will be back, but, they're still razor thin on depth at the safety positions. I don't know.
But again, I truly don't think, and I know it sounds funny to say, you look at the record, the points they've given up last two road games, I don't think the defense has played that bad.
Defense has played well. I think they have. I think they're not quite getting to, they didn't get to the quarterback at all against Wyoming.
Right.
But they were harrying him.
Sure. To answer your question, with 4 games left, mathematically the Lobos can still become bowl eligible, but realistically, you look at those 4 games, Utah State at home this weekend, then you're at Texas A&M.
That's brutal.
Right, back home to UNLV, and then you finish up on the road at San Diego State.
2-2.
Look, I consider myself an optimist when it comes to Lobo football. I don't see 3 wins left on that schedule.
Yeah, I see 2 wins.
Maybe. I see 2 winnable games.
Yeah, 2 winnable games. That's a good one. That's a good way to put it. I don't see them going to A&M and winning, and I really don't see them going to San Diego State and winning.
I don't either, but
it could happen.
I will concede. I think that's probably a closer game than some people think.
Yeah, probably.
Just because of the style of offense Rocky runs. I don't think you're going to give up 35 points in the second quarter to San Diego State. So maybe you hang around in that game, and if you hang around, who knows what can happen. I just don't see 3 wins. So assuming that's the case, where does the program go from here? Yeah, you've had 2 back-to-back winning seasons, 2 straight bowl seasons, the bowl win, Mountain Division, co-champions last year and all that. But if you look at the stands, apparently that doesn't mean that much from a fan standpoint. And what does this year do to that fan base that you're trying to get back,
So there was some garbage on the internet this week about dropping to FCS.
Is that French? Garbage?
Garbage, yeah.
That's not going to happen.
I wanted to say bull, but I don't really want to.
That's not going to happen.
Well, that would be pure stupidity. I mean, first of all,
look, for a variety of reasons, it's not going to happen. Here's the most important reason. If you're an athletic department that struggles to make budget and you're looking at ways to increase revenue, if you look at Lobo Athletics, what's the one sport that has the biggest growth potential?
Well, football does. Well, no, actually, it has the biggest growth potential.
No, football by far has the biggest growth potential. Right. All right, so even if you sell out every game at the Pit this year, so you're increasing attendance by 3,000 a game?
Yeah.
Now, I'm not telling you that UNM is ever going to get back to 35,000 a game for football, but I'm telling you the sport with the biggest growth potential is football. The last thing you're going to do until you absolutely have to is drop down to FCS. That's just not going to happen.
Well, and then here's and this is where I was looking at it. Basketball is your moneymaker. Right. The Mountain West Conference is terrible in basketball, right? It's a 1-bid league.
It's been a 1-bid league the last couple of years.
And
it may well be this year, sure.
I believe it will. But you dropped football to FCS, okay, an idea to save money. Well, then UNM, they can't stay in the Mountain West Conference. You have to drop and go to the WAC, or you have to go to the West Coast Conference. because the Mountain West Conference.
There's no WAC for football.
Right. But I'm talking about the basketball.
Oh, okay, that's why I got you.
The basketball has to leave the Mountain West Conference. You're not allowed to stay in there. You have to have a football program. That's just the rule. So what do you want to do? You want to go to the WAC?
Yeah. Well, and again, that's another reason, but it all gets back to money.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You're just not going to do that. You're just not.
So can UNM, are they in a position where they have to spend more money in football to try to make more money? Is that even a reasonable, realistic situation? Or what could they spend, or what could they do to try to get more fans in? And like you said, you can't just say win and it's going to happen.
It's more than just winning, and I think the last couple of years have proven that. It's more than 7 wins, 8 wins. You've got to contend for Mountain West championships. And to be fair, I don't know that that's enough.
Yeah, you could be right. Speaking of attendance and speaking of money, we're going to take a quick break, and then after we do that, we're going to talk about Lobo basketball and the Pit, formerly known as the Pit. We'll be back right after this.
Dave & Buster's is your destination for fun. Eat delicious chef-crafted food. Try sizzling favorites and new creations from our talented chefs. Drink the coolest cocktail creations. Play the hottest new games to win awesome prizes. And watch all the games in the best sports bar ever. Only at Dave & Buster's.
Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all or he is not Lord at all. And you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, # life change will occur.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a #1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network. Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Looking for some exhilarating fun? It's at All Out Zone. All Out Zone showcases Nerf Dart tag games from team elimination battles to human versus zombies, pitting 2 teams against each other in fun, organized chaos with trained referees, music, and a full arsenal of Nerf blasters. You need team parties, birthday parties. We can customize the party to fit your needs. Visit us at the Coronado Mall. Give us a call, 505-444-6964. All Out Zone.
I think you're right. I think we do need to take Alden out to the all-out zone and shoot at him. With the Nerf guns, of course.
Did I say that?
You said it before the show started. We were looking
I didn't say we drag Alden out there and shoot at him. I said we should go out there and do the show and have a little fun. Right, shoot at each other.
Would we have to have like
You just gave away our secret strategy, but yeah.
Well, no, I said take him out there and shoot at Alden.
Yeah, well, that was going to be our secret strategy, how we win.
I was thinking more like, remember what the state fair where they'd have those things, pop, then they'd spin around and they'd go, you might not be.
Yeah, no, I remember, yeah.
Something like that, I think that would look cool. Or we could put an apple on Alden's head. No? All right. Hey, I did want to transition a little bit because basketball season is starting at the University of New Mexico. It actually kind of started with what a cool deal that was I mean, I know it was quick to try to put it together. It was charity. I know there's a lot of other programs that are doing it. In fact, I think New Mexico State went to Texas Tech, if I'm not mistaken, or going to Texas Tech for one of those. And then Liberty played. I can't remember who they played. And basically, it was all for charity.
Right.
Tickets were $10. The money went to help the victims of the recent hurricanes there in Houston. And it was $10. They threw it together fast. The NCAA approved it. And I'm kind of hoping that this becomes a regular yearly event, because I think it would be kind of cool. It gives other people the opportunity that maybe not necessarily could catch a Lobo game, or maybe they don't have season tickets, to just spend $10 and go out. I took my girlfriend. We had a blast. We got to sit. We showed up about 15 minutes before the game, and we were second row from the floor, and just had a great time watching the Lobo basketball team play BYU. I think Grammar reported, or the Journal reported, 6,000 people.
No, there was like 4,900.
49? Okay, yeah. 49. There may have been with the students and everything else. But what was neat is it was exciting. Paul Weir, who we had on the show right afterwards, he talked to us at that time. He talked about the kind of defense that they were going to run. And I don't know if you happen to catch any video or anything of actually. Great game. I mean, it was fun. I mean, did you guys talk about it on the radio show?
Yeah, no. I think you got your first glimpse of what Lobo basketball is going to be like this year. There's going to be a lot of running up and down the court. There's going to be a lot of full court pressing. I think after every made basket and every stoppage in the game, the Lobos came out and full court pressed. You're going to see a lot of that. You're going to see a lot of high tempo. And yeah, those who were at the game, I don't know how you could come away not entertained by it.
Now, I'll be honest with you, as far as the offense, it was the set offense. It was a little sketchy. First game of the season, it was an exhibition. They just put it together. You could tell that this team doesn't quite have the offensive chemistry of a team that's been together for a while. But I mean, just like that game was kind of thrown together, Paul Weir kind of threw this team together.
Do you know why they don't have that offensive chemistry yet of a team that's been together?
Because they
haven't been together.
Yeah, I mean,
there aren't that many guys back from last year.
Right.
So certainly there's a learning curve there. That's when you make a coaching change, when you have a bunch of players leave, new guys come in, there is a bit of a learning curve there.
Yeah, but the thing is, with the defense, it's all effort. I mean, and that's what I loved about this, about the game. It's like, BYU is they're a quality team.
Sure.
I don't know if they're an NCAA team. I don't know if it's way too early to even think about that. But I'm just saying, they had some quality players, and the Lobos harassed them all night long. They couldn't they were having problems handling the pressure of the Lobos. And what I liked about the Lobo press is it wasn't they were just standing there like, okay, we're pressing. I mean, you could see every pass, every time there was a lane, just harassment. Arms were up and down, legs were moving, and just everything was pressure. And they knocked a lot of loose balls that gave them a lot of instant offense. Which was good, but like I said, once again, when they get to the set offense, it's still a little rough. You could tell they weren't sure. Oh, do I shoot now? Even in the three-point offense, as they're passing the ball, they went to Sammy. Obviously, as their point guy. He scored quite a few points. He did really well, but even he looked a little bit like I'm unsure of himself.
Right.
I think as the time rolls on, you mentioned they haven't been together, but as they continue to work on that aspect, I can see that offense coming together and doing enough to win games. But the one thing, and I'm an old Lobo fan. I've been here for years. I still remember. Now, I was young. I was just a kid when Norm Ellenberger had that sort of offense, that sort of defense, and it's exciting as a fan. Just seeing players the electricity of it all, just simply. On the defense. The offense, no, but the defense was it caused electricity. It was fun.
You're like a kid on Christmas morning. So this was your first basketball game in what, 9 years?
Oh, it's the first team that
first basketball game.
Yeah. It's not quite that long, but it's
probably been pretty close.
I remember I went to an Alfred game.
Did you? Okay.
Like in year 4 or something. And it was good then too. It was okay, but they were playing some Eastern Western Citadel, Occipital State or whatever, one of those teams.
State.
I don't know. You know those.
I got you. No, I got you.
Is one of those directional, multi-hyphenated schools that
the compass is broken.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So it was like I don't even know who they were, but it was BYU. And see, that was my thing. It was like, this is BYU, the team that. Well, when I was growing up, or even 5 years ago, Lobo fans loved to hate BYU.
Sure.
I mean, just despised anything BYU. And it was nice of them. They had a player that I think played in the 70s, that Hodgkin. I think that's still him. I think he's still there. I mean, he was that stereotypical skinny dude that patches of hair were falling out, that he had a couple grandchildren. But the kid could play. Hodge can play. I tried rattling him the best I could. I'll say it. I don't care. I tried rattling him the best I could, but I mean, you could tell he was a long-in-the-tooth player that you couldn't rattle. But it was just fun. To me, it was fun to see BYU because nobody likes BYU. I don't care. No, I don't even think BYU fans like BYU. I mean, I'm just saying, nobody likes them. But it was a blast. I look forward to going to more games. I like that aspect. I just like the excitement of what they're doing on the court. I think that's the most exciting. They look well coached. They look like they're still getting to know each other, coaches and players. Sure. So they're not sure. And there was a couple times, but I see that. And in their defense, not only it's frenetic, but you could see that there's a lot of composure to it too. They know what's being asked of them.
No, and I think that's probably a fair assessment. Look, there are going to be some ups and downs with Lobo basketball this year, but it's going to be entertaining basketball. And I think, look, Lobo fans are not a patient fan base, but they're smart enough to know there's probably, going to be a little bit of growing pains here, new coach, a lot of new players. As long as you see improvement, as long as you can see where the program is headed, I think Lobo fans will be fairly patient this season. Now, they'll probably expect a tournament championship next year, but I think they'll be fairly patient this year as long as you see that progress. And I think with the style of play, the type of coach Paul Weir is, I think fans will see that progress.
And I mean, I know they were picked 9th, right?
I think so, yeah.
In the media poll or whatever, there's no way this team's a 9th place team. That defense makes them, I believe, and I hate to put those expectations
Still got to put the ball in the basket.
Yeah, I still believe that they'll be a top 4 Mountain West Conference team. I think they're that good.
Alden, mark this tape.
Yeah.
Leroy just said they were going to be a top 4 team in the conference.
A top 4 team in the Mountain West Conference. Tell ya, with that, and we marked the tape. Is it marked? Do we still have time, Alden, or are we done?
Hell, we don't even have tape anymore. I said mark the tape. Mark the computer.
Yeah. Mark it on the feed, of course.
No Rusty today?
No Rusty today.
Dude, this is Rusty's time of year.
I know, it's crazy, right?
Everybody's painting their face up. Well, we don't have Rusty, really?
So I wonder, maybe he took all the paint off and that was his Halloween costume.
He just went as a regular person?
He just went as like a regular dude.
Something tells me Rusty couldn't be a regular dude if he tried.
In that, you may be right. Hey,
I probably mean that as a compliment.
Some great news. Went over 1 million hits on YouTube. Steve Davis was telling us, and I just want to thank all the people that watch the show. I know I get emails and texts and people that say, "Hey, catch your guys' show is pretty good." I go, "Well, we have Michael Carlisle on there,
pretty
big
good
radio star." Yeah.
The heck kind of compliment is that? It's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
I'm kidding.
I think that's good, but it's all due because we got Michael on there. I mean,
you're welcome.
You're a superstar. I mean, your own right, award-winning radio host. My personal opinion, and I think the personal opinion of a lot of people, the best radio show here in Albuquerque when it comes to sports. You and Trujillo, and Vitale do a spectacular job. I know. Well, I'm in school part of the week, so I don't get to hear the whole show. But I know that as soon as I get out, I love.
You're like 56 years old. Why are you in school?
49. Because I want. It's like a midlife crisis, bro. Midlife crisis.
That's a late life crisis, dude.
With that, we're going to say goodbye. I hope you all had a great Halloween. We'll see you for the rest of the year. For Michael Carlisle and Micah Frankel, this is Leroy Lucero. We'll see you all next week. God bless you all.